My name is Marcella. I'm 21 years old and I was born and raised in South Florida. And growing up, dealing with hurricanes was a regular occurrence for me and my family. I remember being really little and feeling afraid because sometimes my dad would have to work during the storm. But it wasn't until my family moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida that I really became closely acquainted with the devastating impacts of sea level rise. We moved somewhere that's sometimes called the Venice of America, and it's well known for its beautiful waterways and coast. My family was lucky enough to live just 1 block away from the beach. But when we moved, I started to notice that every time a storm would hit, the street in front of my apartment would flood. And sometimes it would flood even when it wasn't raining. Local businesses would have to put out sandbags to stop the water from coming into the shores. My parents would have to move the cars up to higher ground for parking. And it was this weird dystopia where regular people were being forced to become experts in the ocean's tidal patterns and sea level rise. On really bad days, the entrance to my apartment building would be blocked off from flooding. And at the time, I didn't know that any of this had to do with something called global climate change or sea level rise. I just knew that this was an everyday part of my family's life. Then I went to college and I learned that my personal experiences with flooding and with hurricanes were just warning signs of more drastic changes to come for Florida and for the rest of the world. The scientists predict that by the end of the century, South Florida and Fort Lauderdale could see up to 6 to 7 feet of flooding. And that would put 1 out of every 8 homes in Florida underwater. I love way more than 8 people in South Florida, and no one should have to live in fear of losing their families or their homes to rising seas. And that's why I'm fighting to stop climate change and create millions of good-paying jobs in the process.